Marvel, system powers build the Umbrella Base. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 91. Kind of interesting. As for wanting to borrow the magic code? I agreed to this matter, and my disciples will take you to the magic hall later. It's up to you how much you can see. While speaking, the figure of the supreme mage slowly dissipated. Only Wang Wei was left with such an empty echo. Mr. Wang. At this time, a young man slowly walked up from below the square. After glancing at Wang Wei and the girl lowly behind Wang Wei, this young man directly led Wang Wei to the magic hall. All of Karmataj's magic books are here, please. Mr. Wang with the young man's gesture. Wang Wei walked in directly with these four intelligent angels. Look at this magic hall that cannot be seen at the end. The corners of Wang Wei's mouth twitched slightly. In this case, I finished reading a hammer. Even if I don't forget it, it will take me at least 10 years and 8 years to read these magic books completely. There's no way, it's hard to come, can't just go back empty-handed. While speaking, Wang Wei came to the middle position of this magic hall. Spread your hands directly. Wang Wei closed his eyes and slowly sank his thoughts into the depths of his soul. In the depths of the soul, there were two special identical products connecting the edge of Wang Wei's spiritual sea. These two special products are the treasure house of scientific and technological magic, and the intelligent angel civilization technology tree. In addition to this thing, there is another engine product sleeping in Wang Wei's spiritual sea. Get up, work. While speaking, Wang Wei directly let this engine product wake up to do it. This thing was nothing else, it was a void engine that came with Wang Wei when he obtained the God King divine body. Unfortunately, it is a defective product with only 10 data. It can't be said to be defective, it can only be said that it is now in a dismembered state and has not fully recovered. Tiangong, enter all these magic books in. As Wang Wei's voice fell, this void engine directly launched a huge search momentum. With this void engine search moves, some of the books on the shelves began to float out one by one from near where Wang Wei was. And these floating magic books are as if they were being read, and the pages of the books are different. Mr. Where did these books come in? After all, these magic books are counted so much that it can't be put down simply in this spiritual sea. Either fill it into the treasure house of scientific and technological magic, or Wang Wei is reopening a treasure house of knowledge. Reopen a treasure trove of knowledge. Gritting his teeth a little, Wang Wei directly decided to reopen a treasure trove of knowledge. Only in this way can we not enter all these magic books into it. If not, fill it into that technological magic, and I don't know how much I can fill in. Understood, Master. As if responding to Wang Wei, this crippled void engine directly began to build up again in Wang Wei's spiritual sea, opening up a treasure trove of knowledge. Mr. According to the current speed, it will take 7 days to completely enter these magic books in the process of opening up the treasure house of knowledge. As if to give Wang Wei a psychological preparation, the void engine slowly responded. Wipe, 7 days, I hope Asteria will not be lonely and go out to do things. While thinking, Wang Wei began to enter all these magic books into his knowledge treasury. All the magic that was searched by Wang Wei, no matter what kind of magic notes, or what magic events, was entered by Wang Wei anyway. When entering it, Wang Wei found that it was so cool to have a treasure trove of knowledge. As long as you are willing, you can constantly schedule all the knowledge points and fully apply them. Is Master alright? Although a little stupid, Asteria still saw Wang Wei's tightly frowned expression, as if she was doing something. Seeing this scene, Asteria's heart was still a little worried. So, don't say hot-blooded stupid, it's not brainy. Mr. is busy, let's be quiet for a while. Especially you, Asteria. While speaking, Nimov took cows directly to find a place to quietly do it. Stupid, Asteria cows, who was led by Nymphu, directly mocked Asteria. Mr. Seeing Wang Wei constantly reading these magic books, Icarus did not have any worried words, but that worried look was vividly displayed. Time is fast. A short week passed in the blink of an eye. As the last magic book was entered, Wang Wei directly gasped heavily. This feeling of being full of knowledge is really sour. However, when Wang Wei turned around, he found that all the magic books on the shelves had fallen to the floor. The smooth marble floor is covered with these magic books. There is not a single copy on the bookcase. Mr. Are you alright? As if a person came crazy, Asteria rushed directly into Wang Wei's arms as if to examine and explore up and down. Don't make trouble, I'm fine, I just read a lot of magic books. Wang Wei, who had a brain crash at this little fool like Asteria, directly smiled and explained to the three girls, Lori. So what about these books? Shall we put it back? Episode 92. Seeing that Wang Wei had nothing to do, Nakao's was like a wallaby, hanging directly behind Wang Wei. The whole person is like a lowly girl who coquettishly treats her father. And the man's little ghost Big Nymphu pointed to Wang Yang's sea-like books on the ground, smiled at Wang Wei and said. Looking at the situation of these books, Wang Wei was suddenly choked. If this is put back as it is, I don't know how long it will take to sit it. Huh? Wait first, it doesn't seem like we need to swing it back. While speaking, Wang Wei directly ripped off the asteria in his arms and looked directly at the invisible magic array on this book, as well as the magic array map on those bookshelf. Wang Wei instantly understood the meaning of the formation diagrams on these books. A magic similar to the return of the milk swallow. Being able to put these books back in place on their own. I'll try it first. Wang Wei, who dispatched this magic type in his mind, directly followed the cat and began to operate. With the large amount of magical power emanating from Wang Wei's palm, these books flew up one after another, flying directly back to those bookshelves like milk swallows returning to their nests. Okay, let's go. Saying that, Wang Wei rubbed Nimufu's little head, held Nimufu's small hand with one hand, and held cows hanging around his neck with the other, leading Asteria and Icarus towards the door. Mr. Wang. After Mordo, who was guarding outside the door, saw Wang Wei come out, he glanced at the magic hall and nodded slightly. Thank you. I have a question, though. Isn't there white magic in this? Although I don't know what this Mordo is here for, but it's always good to say thank you. The mage said that if Mr. Wang asked about the white magic, then when Mr. Wang returns from Asgard, the mage will give the white magic to you. As if expected, Mordo explained generously to Wang Wei. What if I don't ask about white magic? Wang Wei, who raised his eyebrows slightly, seemed to realize something. Then the mage won't have to give the white magic to Mr. Wang. Wang Wei, who said this expected answer, was a little bad. So, I hate dealing with people on your mysterious side the most. While having a black face, Wang Wei took his luo and directly activated the scientific magic mark on the body of Thor God. With Wang Wei's scientific magic imprint, the sea holding the rainbow bridge suddenly felt an inexplicable breath. What people? Heimdall, who directly pulled out the long sword in his hand, stared coldly at the suddenly flickering magic array in front of him. The light of magic shone through his eyes, and under the gaze that could see through the 9 realms, Heimdall saw that the source of this magic array was Taj on the blue star. It was also in such a place that Heimdall did not start. Who knows if the Supreme Mage suddenly came over? Although he remembered the breath of the Supreme Mage. You guys, is that how Asgard welcomes guests? Wang Wei, who came out of this magic array, looked at the armored man holding a long sword in front of him with a sneer, looked directly at Heimdall. Although Wang Wei did not know who this person was, Wang Wei knew where he was. The gates of Asgard. In other words, the man in front of him holding a long sword and wearing armor is a man who watches the gate. Uncle, you are a gatekeeper, what gives you this temper? How can you welcome your guests? Guest? I don't remember any guests in Asgard who barged in without saying hello. Heimdall, who also had a sneer at the corner of his mouth, looked at the young man in front of him, as well as the strange girl Lori. Heimdall felt a star-destroying force in the bodies of these girls. Lori. Who is this guy? Ha 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 ha. Look at Heimdall's vigilant look. Wang Wei laughed directly. Asteria, who was beside Wang Wei, directly pulled out the lightsaber in her hand and stared at the big black man in front of her with a vigilant face. I don't know if this can work. After all, your God King said that as long as I have the ability to come to your Asgard, I will welcome my guests. While speaking, Wang Wei threw out a token-like thing given to him by the stupid son of the landlord. Heimdall, who had nodded this thing, took a strange look and directly threw the token back. At the same time, he took back the long sword in his hand. Sorry. But your arrival is indeed a bit rude. While speaking, this Heimdall apologized slightly to Wang Wei. Do you need me to take you to the palace? As if to inquire, Heimdall was ready to ask someone to take Wang Wei and the others to the palace. No thanks. I'm ready to take a good look at your Asgard's majesty. While laughing, Wang Wei directly rejected the idea of Heimdall's people to follow. Thor, your friend has arrived, go and welcome him. Odin, who was gradually facing a deep sleep in this palace, suddenly called his stupid son Thor over. Yes, father. Hearing Odin's order, Thor rushed directly in the direction of the Rainbow Bridge. Hey, Wang Wei. There you are. For Wang Wei, Thor can't talk about how much good feelings he has, but he can't talk about how many bad feelings he has. At least, Wang Wei looked greedy. Thor didn't like it. Wang Wei, who was about to leave the gate of this Rainbow Bridge, saw the soul walking over _ Episode 93. I couldn't help but muttered secretly in my heart. So, I hate dealing with these old guys the most. One by one, there are no secrets to speak of. And after Heimdall, who was guarding the gate of this rainbow bridge, saw Thor's arrival, the careful thoughts in his heart could not help but relax slightly. As long as this person is accompanied by people from Asgard, then even if something happens, nor is it his Heimdall problem. Long time no see, Thor. Look at the stupid son of the landlord's family who has been pitted by himself. Wang Wei greeted with a smile on his face. This time, if you don't get something from this Asgard, you will really be ashamed of the purpose of Wang Wei's trip. Honestly, I don't like the way you looked before. The look of greed makes me a little annoying. The foolish son of the landlord's family is worthy of being the foolish son of the landlord's family in his heart, he said directly to Wang Wei as if he didn't hide words at all. Look at what you said. You must know that the rise and development of any civilization is inseparable from greed and ambition. No matter how good the disguise, it is greed and ambition after all. It's just that I never hide it. For their own greedy behavior, Wang Wei did not hide it in the slightest. After all, Wang Wei himself took the cosmic cube and the space gem in his hands. That makes sense, but I still don't like it a little. Thor, who shook his head slightly, took Wang Wei directly to the palace. You know, one of the purposes of welcoming Wang Wei to the past this time is that Odin wants to have a good chat with Wang Wei. Hello, young man from Blue Star. Odin, who had a white beard, sat on the throne and smiled at Wang Wei like an old man. Under this smile, it gives people a very friendly feeling. First meeting, King of the Gods, Odin crowned. Wang Wei, who nodded slightly, also followed suit. After all, it is not yet possible to pose in front of Odin. Although Wang Wei's own combat effectiveness is at the level of star destruction, but in front of Odin, Wang Wei is a younger brother. You make me a little bit confused, youngster. The power in your body is very similar to the divine power, but it is distinct from the divine power. However, I will not ask anything about the power in you. Everyone has everyone's secrets. This time, presumably you are not just asking for such a thing, right? While laughing, Odin, who came down from the throne, glanced at Wang Wei, slowly elaborated. Hearing Odin's words, Wang Wei really felt some toothache. One by one, the old immortals, can they not be like this? Supreme Mage, Gui is like this, you old guy is like that. Wang Wei, who was discussing in his heart, directly spread his smile and said to Odin with a smile. That's right, come this time it's one thing for me to get the resources for compensation, and it's another, I need a wanted directory. Wang Wei, who nodded slightly, said the purpose of his trip very simply. Wanted directory? Wang Wei, who turned around, looked at Wang Wei in front of him with a little doubt. Yes, my people recently developed a space battleship. I want to conduct a practical exercise to analyze the data. After all, I can't start a war against some forces or planets at will, can't I? Then you can only choose those space pirates who are notorious in the universe, or the wandering fleet. Shrugging, Wang Wei said his thoughts without hesitation. Wang Wei dares to be sure and dare to guarantee 100% the red alert planet in the galaxy definitely entered Odin's eyes. Simply spread out the words directly. After all, these old immortals, you don't know what people think. Got it, but you're doing it right as a strong person, you cannot strike at the weak. As if to illustrate something, Odin nodded and agreed with Wang Wei's statement. However, you Blue Star has a sentence on it, I guess you should know, right? What you want, you have to give. As soon as the words changed, Odin smiled directly at Wang Wei. If you want this wanted directory, then you have to choose to give up a large part of the compensation resources. Look at this Odin, who is laughing like an old fox in front of him. Wang Wei couldn't help but sigh in his heart, this wanted directory, really not so easy to get it. Is it choosing to give up part of the compensation resources? Or choose, help me Asgard when necessary? As if asking, Odin directly threw Wang Wei such a multiple-choice question. On the issue of compensation resources, Wang Wei does not intend to give up. After all, Asgard, as the head of the 9 realms, has a lot of strange metals and various resource products in his hands. For these things, Wang Wei attaches great importance to it, although the resources on the Red Alert planet are relatively rich, but compared to the entire universe the resources of the Red Alert planet are too poor. He needs a lot of various cosmic resources. This is only one aspect, and more importantly, Wang Wei, who has absorbed a lot of magical knowledge on Karma-Taj, is even more curious about some of the knowledge above this Asgard. A longing thought arises. Cosmic resources are among the knowledge above Asgard. Wang Wei chooses knowledge points. Father, at this moment, on the side, Thor looked up at his father with some doubts, like a transparent person. How could you make such a request to this guy? Weird. Is this going to happen? I chose to help Asgard when it needed it, but the 3 episodes of the Covenant cannot be beyond my power. You can't go against my bottom line, and similarly, when helping Asgard, you need to pay for all kinds of losses. Episode 94. While speaking, Wang Wei stretched out one of his hands and spoke very seriously. Good. I agree. Odin, who nodded, directly agreed to Wang Wei's 3 demands. For the little Jojo in Wang Wei's heart, Odin didn't care much at all. After all, a man who has the potential to become a king, one of the necessary conditions is a black heart and a thick face. Among his 2 sons, although Thor is benevolent and easier to hold the 9 realms than the hearts of the people of Asgard, Loki is a very suitable person to ascend the throne. It's a pity that Loki's vision pattern is very narrow sometimes, otherwise, Odin doesn't mind cultivating Loki. Then that's it to see that their conditions are not unexpectedly rejected. Wang Wei laughed directly. For these 3 requirements, Wang Wei also has a small 9-9, what is beyond the scope of ability? Violating your own boundaries? That's all Wang Wei's final say. I want to help you, I will help. I don't want to help you, just leave the sentence aside. Finally, this problem of various losses and supplies is the key. If Wang Wei is not mistaken, I don't know if it is the thunder god inside, there seems to be a dark elf invasion. As long as the time comes, send your own legion over for a large-scale military training. Not only can he get a large number of excellent veterans, but he can also take a lot of benefits from this Asgard. Tell me, what compensation do you want this time? When Wang Wei agreed, Odin's whole body and mind couldn't help but feel happy. In Odin's gaze, although Wang Wei was a little pitted sometimes, but it's still about integrity. However, Wang Wei's behavior of vigorously developing his power is even more of a heroic potential in Odin's eyes. It's a pity for his 3 children, one more than a pit, one is more than the other. First of all, I want a batch of cosmic resources. Secondly, as far as I know, you Asgard sit at the head of the 9 realms, and you must have a lot of exotic prisoners in your hands, right? I need genetic samples of the blood of these people. I want to borrow your Asgard books. Wang Wei, who sounded something, directly added the conditions of this exotic prisoner's blood gene sample into it. Odin, who was able to fight when he was young, definitely had a lot of exotic prisoners on his hands. And these people's blood gene samples are not hungry. If Wang Wei is not hungry, that's the hell. Wang Wei even established a large gene bank on the Red Alert planet. It is to expand their own strength. No, you can only choose 2 conditions, don't you think it's overdone? Shook his head slightly. Although he had the intention to support Wang Wei, he was very mindful of being the wronged leader in the past. Since it is to ask for compensation, there must be one. Then take samples of the blood of the prisoners of the exotic lands, and borrow your books from Asgard. After a pause, Wang Wei, who also knew that his requirements were slightly excessive, directly cut off those cosmic resources. Cosmic resources are said to be lacking, but in fact, they are not particularly urgently needed. But these 2 things are of great help to the Red Alert planet and itself. It really didn't work. Lao Tzu frantically divided the base, and then asked for all kinds of resources. Yes, my son Thor will take you on a walk in this dungeon of Asgard. The blood genetic sample in the dungeon, it's up to you. The premise is not to kill those people. As for your offer to borrow magic books, browse through the royal library and royal magic halls in Asgard. While speaking, Odin pushed Thor out. Then thank you, King of the Gods. Odin crowns. Nodding slightly, looking at Odin, who was a little tired and sleepy, Wang Wei left the hall very knowingly. After this trip, what I can get has far exceeded my expectations. Father. Seeing Wang Wei's departure, before Thor could ask Odin, he directly stretched out a hand to stop Odin's question. I know what you're asking, Thor. You have to remember none of those who can grow up in this universe are weak. It's either a hero or a hero. Among them, the fall of heroes is the fastest. I don't expect you to be like a hero, and you can't be, but you can get in touch with this young man. His future is definitely not limited to the road of the Lord. After all, you carry Asgard on your shoulders and the 9 realms on your shoulders. With a look of high hope, Odin slowly responded to Thor seriously. Engage with him more for the 9 realms. But father, you should know I don't want to inherit the throne, although Lo is wrong, but Loki is better suited to inherit Wang Wei than I am. Thor, who lowered his head, was silent for a while, and defended himself a little unwillingly. In terms of mind, Thor knew that his brother was better suited to inherit the throne than himself. If there is any difference between the 2, then Thor is like a general who can fight well and Loki is a complete politician. I'm running out of time, child. To remember, I chose you to succeed to the throne, not because Loki can't. Instead, it needs you to guard the 9 realms and hold Asgard. Loki, he can't keep it. Alas. Odin sighed heavily, and slowly stood up at Thor. Loki can't hold on. Such words are constantly beating on this little brain case. Sol, who walked out of the hall in a daze, saw the one standing at the door of the hall with 4 young girls lowly enjoying the light of the sunset and slowly walked over. Are you finished talking? Then let's go. Episode 95. As if waiting for Sol, Wang Wei held the somewhat quiet cows in one hand, and slowly walked towards the front with the dead-looking Nimifu in the other. Sol, who was still in a heavy mood, led the way directly in front of Wang Wei. Are you going to go there first? After a slight pause, Thor asked Wang Wei directly. Library and Hall of Magic. As for that blood gene sample, I think you can collect it for me, okay? Wang Wei, who had a smile on the corner of his mouth, directly turned his head to look at Thor and smiled. Wang Wei, who had been waiting at the entrance of the hall for a while, also figured it out a little. This Odin is properly looking for a helper for his future foolish son. After all, he vaguely remembered that it seemed that after Odin and the ancient mage were hanged, the purple potato essence dared to come to this blue star. However, at this time, this Odin began to prepare for his stupid son to find help. That is, Odin probably hung up earlier than the ancient one mage? It's just amazing. As soon as he thought of this, Wang Wei lost his temper. But there is also a good side to this, that is, fooling the stupid son of this landlord's family is much more comfortable than being remembered by Odin's old guy, isn't it? Thinking like this, Wang Wei decided to give the foolish son of the landlord family a few trusts first. Aang, aren't you going? I was slightly stunned. For Wang Wei's fondness for tinkering with genetics, it would be strange if Thor didn't react. After all, the first time I went to Blue Star, I was fooled by this guy and drew a tube of blood. As soon as he thought of this, Thor felt that Wang Wei had some special bad habits. Not going after all, that's your dungeon. If the prisoners inside break out into some kind of rebellion because of my entry, it's always bad, right? This matter, please you big brother Sol. While speaking, Wang Wei patted Sol's shoulder while revealing the big white teeth. Well, that's okay. After thinking about it, this dungeon is indeed an important place. Thor refused. It's easier for your own people to go in and draw blood. Since that's the case, the blood of those guys in the dungeon will be handed over to me. Looking at this trust of Wang Wei, the silly son directly patted his chest and said, this matter is left to me. It's really a 3-point compliment. Properly forget about Wang Wei's previous pitfalls for himself. Well, then take me to this library, or hall. Wang Wei, who nodded, directly suppressed the excitement and joy in his heart. Get ready to learn about this library, or some of the books in the Hall of Magic. Okay. Follow me. Like a big brother with a younger brother, Thor walked directly with Wang Wei in the direction of the magic hall. For Thor, since Wang Wei is good at using magic, he must be most worried about this magic hall. Just bring it straight over as for the library? Except for some magazines, historical materials, and other messy books, it is of no use at all. As a literary failure, Sol, the library was a nightmare of yester's. What are you guys going to do? I guess there are quite a few books in this magic hall. Coming to this heavily guarded magic hall, Wang Wei sighed slightly. Sure enough, it is worthy of being the head of the 9 realms of Asgard. This simple magic hall is not only magnificent, but also closely guarded. To this extent, Wang Wei, who looked at it, was slightly envious. On the Red Alert planet, they are either steel cities or base barracks. This kind of capital similar to Asgard, he wants it too. Hey? Then aren't we going to have to wait a long time again? Don't. When I heard that there were a lot of books in this magic hall, Asteria, a hot-blooded stupid girl, was a little crying. For the active Asteria, staying in one place honestly like before is simply torture. Are there snacks here? Although Nimifu, who was following Wang Wei, did not say anything, she still directly asked Sol. After all, it's honest to stay in one place for a week. It was also an ordeal for Nymphu. Might as well wander outside this magic hall. I have a lot of good food in Asgard, little girl. Before Sol could respond, out of this magic hall came a graceful young woman. Seeing this colorful young woman appear, Wang Wei had a slight guess in his heart. Queen Mother. Seeing the appearance of this young woman, Thor quickly saluted respectfully. Wang Wei also nodded and signaled. Are you the boy who makes Odin praise? Sure enough, it's a talent. For some of the damage Loki has done to you, I'm sorry here. The queen, who walked over, looked Wang Wei up and down, nodded slightly, and said with a smile. The queen is serious. Wang Wei, who became polite, also responded. Under normal circumstances, the more gentle a woman is, the more popular she is. In this case, it is better not to make a bad impression on others. After all, he was ready to pit the foolish son of this landlord family in the future. Is Mr. Wang going to enter this magic hall to read books? The queen, who smiled, came to this Nymphu and the others and asked with a smile. Yes, queen. Then leave these children to me. I will help Mr. Wang take care of these girls. The queen with a kind motherly face is like a motherly hair at this moment. Look at the petite loli hanging on Wang Wei _ Episode 96. And the three girls who followed Wang Wei closely directly laughed and said, "Then trouble the queen." There was a slight hesitation. Wang Wei nodded directly. Perhaps it would be a good choice to have Icarus end them with the queen. Then come with me. Little girls, I'll take you to something delicious. While smiling, he took the little cute cows from Wang Wei's body, reaching out and holding Nimifu's little hand. He walked directly into the distance. Stir. Icarus, who was slightly worried about Wang Wei, looked up at Wang Wei. Go, have fun, gently pressed Icarus's little head. Wang Wei smiled. Seeing Wang Wei's appearance, both Icarus and Asteria nodded and followed the queen directly. The first time I've seen the queen mother like this, see the queen who exudes maternal love. Thor smiled at Wang Wei with a slight startle. Then I'll go first. For Soul's taste, Wang Wei directly acted as not seeing. You eat my yarn. Wang Wei, who walked into this magic hall, looked around and found that there were no outsiders. Turn on the void engine directly. This magical knowledge is still cost-effective to directly build a treasure trove of knowledge. Read by yourself. How much can I read? As long as the treasure trove of knowledge is established. In the end, bring the civilization technology tree in the entire supergod universe. Nanas, Lao Tzu, directly shared with his subordinates. As Wang Wei, who has a far-reaching idea, it is the most cost-effective to store all the magical knowledge in that treasure trove. Seeing Wang Wei enter the magic treasure house, Thor also went directly back to prepare to mobilize a group of military doctors to help Wang Wei go to the dungeon to draw blood. While Wang Wei was reading magical knowledge in Asgard, Tony on the Blue Star was guilty. This sin is also related to Peter Parker. Because Wang Wei's Umbrella Group is a well-known pharmaceutical group and a pioneer in biology. The people of the Desperate Organization originally thought that the people of the Layla Group would control Umbrella, and then directly turn around to suppress the Stark Industries Group with all their might. However, I don't know if it was because people could not contact Wang Wei and Wan Yu and other members of the Secretary Group, or they were frightened by the large number of security personnel under Umbrella. In the end, the target was directly on the subsidiary group that Brera merged with the Stark Group. In this way, these guys insisted on sending their faithful bodyguard Captain Harpy to the hospital. Tony was furious, directly launched a series of counterattacks and retaliation against this desperate organization. The idea is beautiful, the reality is gratifying. Because of the multifaceted support of the Umbrella Group and S.H.I.E.L.D., Tony was a little fluttery. Planted a heel abruptly. In the end, Tony, who had no choice, could only choose one person to go it alone. In this way, I asked Sumu for some things. And Sumu has been with the Umbrella Group for so long. There is also a little interest in this desperate organization. Hundreds of powerful soldiers were directly mobilized to trap this desperate organization on the pier. One is dominated by Tony, supplemented by hundreds of supernatural soldiers. The battle to clear these desperate organizations has directly begun. Sir, Mr. Sumu said that their people are ready. The outside has been completely cordoned off by their security personnel. Wearing a battle suit and looking at the nearly 100 battle suits flying in the sky, Tony was also slightly worried in his heart. The people of these desperate organizations are simply like self-detonators one by one. Choose to self-detonate at every turn. Jarvis, tell Sumu about these guys. I don't want them to lose a lot of manpower. Wang Wei came to me for trouble. Sir has been told it all. Friday, get ready to fight. Tony, who nodded, directly commanded the other system in this armor. Yes, Sir. Friday, it is a super intelligent AI specially researched by Tony based on so many different systems in Wang Wei's hands. Unlike Jarvis, who is a personal butler, this early Friday was packed with a lot of battle data by Tony. Among them, there is also the data that Tony specifically fought with some of Wang Wei's cavalry legions. But under the same circumstances, Friday's status is still below Jarvis. With a roar from Tony, the hundreds of suits flying in the sky moved directly. Watch the hundreds of suits flying in the sky. If Sumu on the ground said that he was not envious, it was impossible. After all, every man has a mecha dream in his heart. Sumu is no exception. Start hunting. At the same time, he told Jinxing to let him pack all the information and take it away. Sumu, who had a smile on the corner of his mouth, directly ordered. Hearing Sumu's orders, these powerful soldiers who had experienced hundreds of battles moved even more. One by one, maybe many of the powerful soldiers will be wasted by this self-detonating method. But in the case of 3 to 1, 5 to 1, the powerful soldiers properly teach these guys how to behave. Singled out? Inexistent, it's just a group of us singling out one of you. And except for Tony, who has some joy on this blue star. A bunch of engineers on the Red Alert planet are also spraying wildly. Damn, in order to completely get that monster-like quantum infinite power space carrier done, these guys are already engaged in hand-to-hand combat with wrenches in hand. It's all about convincing the other party that their thinking is the most correct. But compared to the joy on this Red Alert planet, where is a certain Cow, a former astronomer team member, directly and inadvertently lost in this abandoned factory building. Episode 97. With the interlacing of space, this female scientist, let's call it a female scientist, directly walked into the dark elf world where black pressure gave people an endless sense of oppression. We have been sleeping for hundreds of years. Let's wake up. Darkness will come again. No one can stop our recovery. We are dark elves. Etheric particles have appeared. Gentlemen, the revival of the dark elves requires your dedication. In an unknown narrow canyon, there is a large space battleship. A group of dark elves who were black and white roared. Is this the newest prisoner? Watch as the Asgardian warriors who have just returned from suppressing some rebellions escort a group of prisoners back. Thor asked with some doubt. Yes, His Royal Highness, these are the latest captives. Seeing this soul's inquiry, the Asgardian warrior in charge of leading the team quickly and respectfully responded. In other words, do these guys want to draw a wave of blood? Look at these guys who are gradually being imprisoned. Thor couldn't help but hold his chin and start thinking about this very serious question. These guys don't seem to have any characteristics. But while Thor was thinking, Wang Wei, who had reproduced a lot of literary knowledge from the library, finally came out. Nanas, it took me 10 days to record the magic books in the magic hall. It took me a full month to record such a library. For Wang Wei, who saw the sunshine again, this really couldn't help but complain. This time the record can be said to have added a lot of knowledge points to his head, as well as cosmic secrets. After all, Asgard, as the head of the 9 realms, really recorded an extraordinary amount of information. These things, whether useful or not, Wang Wei packed them all and took them away. The result was that the crippled void engine in his body was directly stopped. Stir. Icarus, who saw Wang Wei walking out, came to Wang Wei wearing a princess dress of an Asgard royal family. Looking at the pink-haired, but princess-like Icarus in front of him, Wang Wei almost didn't recognize it. Good, this dress looks good. The king, who couldn't help but beat slightly in his heart, was a bit like he was about to rub Icarus' little face angrily. But a glance at some of the Asgardian guards in the vicinity, as well as the presence of some Asgardian residents, Wang Wei decisively put this idea behind. How many of them? Seeing that only Icarus was waiting for him, Wang Wei couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Sure enough, among these intelligent angels, only Icarus is the most considerate. Astrea is training against the people of Asgard, Nymev, and cows are eating and drinking in the snack street outside. While speaking, Icarus came directly to Wang Wei. Wang Wei, who stared directly at Wang Wei's eyes, was a little embarrassed. What's wrong? Icarus? Wang Wei, who didn't understand, couldn't help but wonder when he saw this Icarus suddenly come to his face. Mr. Icarus also wants to be touched by the master. As if plucking up courage, often watching Wang Wei rub the little head of Nymefu or cows, the Akala lizard has a deep envy in his heart. Although Wang Wei also rubbed Icarus' little head sometimes. But obviously, the chance of Icarus being needed is very low, so low that any of the 3 of them can hang Icarus. Icarus, who didn't understand what it was to be jealous, directly chose to say his thoughts. Okay. Slightly stunned, Wang Wei gently rubbed Icarus' little head with a smile. Looking at the comfortable Icarus, Wang Wei understood a little. A group of cute teenage loli. With a slight smile, Wang Wei directly took Icarus's hand to find the 3 fools back. So that's it, I'm ready to go back. Looking at the thousands of blood gene samples that were collected into the space capsule, Wang Wei nodded at Thor, the god of thunder. Originally, in Wang Wei's speculation, Thor might have made 180 meanings for himself. Who would have thought that this stupid son of the landlord's family would directly give all the prisoners over? That's thousands of blood gene samples. At this time, there is no shortage of materials in the genetics of the Red Alert planet. Well, then I won't send you. After all, my side has just suppressed a group of rebellions. I'm going to take care of a little thing. Thor, who nodded slightly, did not send Wang Wei to Blue Star. Gone. Wang Wei, who nodded to show his understanding, directly returned to the Blue Star with Asteria, who had been abusing vegetables all the way, as well as Nymphu and cows, who were eating, drinking, and having fun. So, I'm going to Nakamatage now? Or go back and go back? Wang Wei, who returned to his villa, was directly stunned. Aren't you going to get that white magic? Thinking like this, Wang Wei still hesitated, decided not to go to Karmatage for now. After all, after waiting for so long, that big monster on the red alert planet has long been waiting for it. However, let's try what you can get with this check-in. The corners of his mouth raised, and Wang Wei directly opened the monthly signing system to sign in. After carefully counting, Wang Wei found that the signing system had stored 5 check-in opportunities this month. Sign in. Wang Wei, who secretly rubbed his hands, was ready to try this hand underscore. Episode 98. If you can't sign in and don't come up with anything good, wait for a while to sign in. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a Town Guard mansion building. Rumble. As the sound of this check-in system falls, Wang Wei's whole person was stunned. Eileen Town Guard? Ship girl? With a look of confusion and shock, Wang Wei directly clicked on the detailed data of this Town Guard mansion to check it. But after Wang Wei checked it, he didn't know what to say. How is this ship girl like this? Tangled. At this moment, Wang Wei's face was full of entanglement. If it's the original kind of ship girl, Wang Wei was also entangled, but now this kind of ship girl, Wang Wei is even more entangled. The original ship girl, no matter what, although the summoned is a cute girl. There are battleships with long-legged royal sisters, there are aircraft carrier nurses full of motherhood, and there are girls who patrol lightly and heavily patrol, as well as destroyers, submarines, and other student lowly. You say it's okay to send these out to fight? Yes. It is completely feasible to fight inside the planet. But the capabilities of these pariah girls are limited to local wars on the surface. It's almost equivalent to the level of surface heroes. But this was the Town Guard building. It's a different story. The first is that a lot of resources are needed to build the core of the battleship. There are also classes of these battleship cores: destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and aircraft carriers. But what's more pitted about this is right? It is that the resources required for the core of a battleship on a battleship are tens of billions to live in. Simply so. And that's not all. When the cores of these battleships were built, Wang Wei needs to make some additional hulls that can withstand the core of these battleships. However, if the core of these battleships is used on that ordinary ship of more than 100 meters or 200 meters, it's a waste. This thing, can't it be with that big monster? While thinking about the battle that the ship ladies created by this Town Guard can adapt to, Bai directly thought of the quantum lawless mothership created by those engineers who were like crazy. That is, a big monster capable of acting as a space battleship. No, you can try this. While thinking, Wang Wei directly took this Town Guard building and ran directly to the Red Police planet. On this Red Police planet, Wang Wei did not go to meet the 2 generals who had already been recruited, and directly found a small offshore island to settle this Town Guard. Huh? Battleship core manufacturing equipment? After seeing this thing, Wang Wei directly dispatched a large number of resources from the Gonghui base to put into the core manufacturing equipment of this battleship one after another. In the process of Wang Wei putting these tens of billions of resource units over, the 2 generals who were recruited, as well as the chief engineers in charge of this quantum infinite power space carrier, also came to this Town Guard mansion one after another. Commander. After seeing Wang Wei, the first person to salute Wang Wei was the young woman dressed in a lieutenant general's uniform. Although it looks like the age is about 20 or 30 years old. But Wang Wei, who looked at him with a calm look, couldn't help but nod slightly. Not bad, a very good army commander. Commander. With this lieutenant general, the royal sister saluted. It was the 20-something royal sister dressed in a black military uniform who saluted Wang Wei respectfully. This 20-something-year-old black military uniform royal sister feels like a girl who specializes in assassination, sniping, and special operations. Too hard work. In the future, there will still be trouble for 2 of you here. While nodding, Wang Wei responded with a smile to the 2 generals. After all, a lieutenant general hero, a major hero. Anyway, the experience of leading troops is definitely much higher than his own. Commander, when will we tender that quantum infinite power space carrier? With a longing look, the chief engineer asked Wang Wei directly. Tinder such a big space carrier. This is the most practical idea of this chief engineer. Tinder is not in a hurry. I've got something new now. If this thing can be successful, then compared to tinderization, the increase effect she brings is far more than tinderization. Wang Wei, who had a smile on his face, looked at the Town Guard mansion in front of him that was constantly devouring resource units with a look of expectation. Far beyond tindering? Hearing Wang Wei say this, General Liang, who was able to shoulder the command of the group army, raised his eyebrows slightly. Since coming here, General Liang has directly taken over the big and small affairs on this Red Police planet. Some of these biased developments were abruptly broken back by General Liang. Not only that, General Liang also waved his hand and directly recruited many types of troops, directly supplementing the source of troops and combat readiness of the quantum infinite power space carrier. In the eyes of General Liang, he prefers the space carrier that can operate in space than the command of the ground forces. Yes, General Liang, let's just wait until the town guard has manufactured the core of the battleship, then this quantized infinite power space carrier will get a qualitative leap. While saying Wang Wei, he explained. When Wang Wei said this General Liang was even more puzzled. What kind of thing can make this quantum infinite power space carrier like a big monster form a qualitative leap? Have you heard of ship elves? I thought about it a little. After all, for the core effect of the battleship produced by this town guard mansion, Wang Wei can only use this aspect to give an example. Episode 99. Ship elves? I have heard that in the age of sailing, some crew members took great care of the ship, and at some point, these crew members were able to meet the ship spirits. The experienced General Liang slowly responded to Wang Wei's inquiry. In fact, not only in the age of sailing, even in modern warships, some crew members even generated themselves to see the existence of ship spirits. However, the ship elves are such a thing, which they regard as a product of the fantasy of these crew members who cherish the battleship too much. It's this ship elf-like product I'm going to recruit next, but the difference is that they are just like us, they can speak, laugh and think, even has some combat experience no less than ours. And the main thing is that once the battleship that has been assimilated by them, it can directly eliminate the problem. Simply put, it is an existence that is even more awesome than the super-armed joint control system. They can even get out of the ship and move around. While speaking, Wang Wei said the form of those ship girls in the blue front in the battleship. To put it bluntly, this battleship audit is equivalent to the soul, and the battleship is equivalent to the body. When the soul and body are compatible, the shipwives will be handy in controlling the battleship. The number of battleships can account for more than 1/3, or even 1/2 of the auxiliary, and the logistics personnel can be directly reduced to 1/8 or even 1/10. The rest can be completely carried out, resettle the marines and some other arms into it. After Wang Wei said the warship form of the ship girls in the blue route, General Liang and this royal sister in black military uniform finally barely understood. But when this was said, the chief engineer was even more excited. Commander, can you give me a core and let me study it? Looking at this chief engineer whose eyes were shining, Wang Wei was directly covered with black lines. Give you a core? Let you study research? I'll give you a hammer. You research and go. As someone who has played the game of ship girl, give you the core of this ship girl, you're literally fart eating. Although Wang Wei also had a deep curiosity in his heart, what kind of thing was the core of this battleship? But the idea of conducting research was not born either. At least not for the time being. Suppress before speaking. If you really want to study, first give me the research look and pull up some technology trees of the Gonghui base and Shenzhou base for me. Two Eyes Wang Wei directly did not hesitate. After waiting for a long time, the tens of billions of resources that can make the core of the aircraft carrier were finally stunned. Wang Wei did not hesitate to directly choose to control the aircraft carrier core. Looking at this manufacturing time, it takes about 7 or 8 hours. Wang Wei couldn't help but nod slightly. If it takes 7 or 8 hours to manufacture, it means that this battleship should be regarded as a not weak aircraft carrier nanny. While nodding, Wang Wei directly set his gaze on this General Liang. After all, in Wang Wei's heart, General Liang can be regarded as the only person in Wang Wei's hands who can control hundreds of thousands of group armies. General Liang, I have 2 people appointed here, I don't know which one you want to choose. One is to become the commander of this quantum infinite power space carrier. Of course, all you see is such a quantum infinite power space carrier now, waiting for a while these actual combat data have been collected by these engineers. I'll put together a group of space battleships for you. The second is to become the highest executive officer on this Red Alert planet, responsible for a series of tasks on the Red Alert planet. While speaking, Wang Wei explained the difference between appointments to this Liang general. After all, in Wang Wei's heart, he wanted to make General Liang the commander of the space carrier, and he also wanted to make General Liang the highest executive officer on this Red Police planet. Don't you see that this Red Police planet has a research base in the east and a research laboratory in the west under the operation of Wang Wei? Fortunately, there is also an internal affairs department set up by Zhang Ye and Zhang Yu to coordinate the overall situation. But even if this is the case, the formation of the Ministry of Internal Affairs between Zhang and Zhang Yu can be regarded as almost unable to hold on. After all, the stalls are getting bigger and bigger. It always seemed a little anxious and brittle. Several times, Wang Wei saw Zhang Ye and Zhang Yu, who originally had black and beautiful hair, and vaguely saw the appearance of some hairlines. Because of this, Wang Wei killed the explosive soldiers who did not dare to go crazy. As the saying goes, explosive soldiers are cool for a while, and explosive soldiers are cool at times. But this special lady is not playing a single-player game, burst the soldiers out and play with it. This also takes care of a series of things. Fucked very. Because of this, the total population of the Red Alert planet does not exceed 1 million. Although a large part of them are ordinary soldiers who have not yet received alienation. However, these soldiers also have some tasks that belong to them. I choose to become the commander of this quantum infinite power space carrier. General Liang, who had long been a little hungry for this quantum infinite power space carrier, chose this aspect very decisively. After all, if she can command space battles, it is also part of her symbol of strength, isn't it? Okay, then I'll appoint you as the commander of this quantum infinite power space carrier immediately, but accordingly, you also have to help out some of the things on this Red Alert planet. While speaking, Wang Wei directly appointed General Liang as the commander of the quantum infinite power space carrier. As for why this quantum infinite power space carrier has no name in fact, it is still waiting for the reason for the core of this battleship _. Episode 100. After all, Wang Wei didn't know which core the battleship core was this made. It would be interesting if you get a name yourself and make this ship girl not like it very much. Actually, about the commander, your concerns are solvable. After a slight hesitation, General Liang began to explain to Wang Wei. Can it be solved? Meaning to be able to solve the problem of generals at the middle and top levels? Wang Wei also had a deep grudge against why generals could not be recruited within this Gonghui base and the Shenzhou base. After all, it is good to say that the number of these soldiers is small. If there are more people, then it is really impossible to say. It is not a random person who has the ability to command a regiment, a division. Wang Wei has not recruited 18 million soldiers so far, but also about 23 million. But in this way, Wang Wei only had 2 brigadier general level soldiers, a dozen or so colonel level officers, and a large number of lieutenant officers. Grassroots commanders are good to say that the head of these soldiers is grassroots commanders. But the middle level, high level commanders are really extremely lacking. And those 2 brigadier general level soldiers were none other than Zhang Yu, who was piled up by Wang Wei. Directly relying on the non-stop operation of this Red Alert planet, it has reached the level of brigadier general. That's right, Commander, just give the spies a mandatory order to steal from the base and the war laboratory. After that, there will be a certain chance of stealing special buildings, military schools. It can carry out large-scale mass training of a group of colonel-level officers. As for the general-level officers, unless the commander can gather the main base vehicles of the major camps, then take turns stealing them, come over, you will have the opportunity to get a special building that can train generals, the military academy. Saying it over and over again, this General Liang told some secrets in this Shenzhou base and the Gonghui base over and over again. Is that so? After thinking a little, Wang Wei somewhat understood. This is almost equivalent to the effect of stealing technology when playing a game to allow soldiers to increase their level. Yes, go back and give it a try. Wang Wei, who nodded, was also very attentive to this aspect. So after speaking, this General Liang hesitated a little and continued. So, I hope the commander will give me enough freedom to fight. While speaking, General Liang said to Wang Wei's respectful salute. After all, this sufficiently free right to fight will be tasted. If it is placed on the blue star, it will be properly reviewed. But on this Red Alert planet, is there enough right to fight for yourself? For Wang Wei, it's a thing. It's not a thing. I have a wanted directory in my hand, want the right to fight. I'll give it to you. I will not only give you, I will also give you soldiers, give you equipment, give me crazy training, and improve my strength. As long as you can resist the attack of that purple potato essence for me in the later stage, and even kill that purple potato essence to me. Whatever you ask, I can meet you. This, I satisfy you. Nodded, naturally knowing that his command in the military aspect was sometimes very unsatisfactory. For Wang Wei's own positioning, Wang Wei placed it clearly. Chief of Logistics, and the highest benchmark of combat power. This is the positioning that Wang Wei gave himself. Thank you, Commander. After hearing Wang Wei's promise, General Liang was overjoyed. After all, there is nothing more comfortable than being able to trust your leader. What about you? Saying that, Wang Wei looked at the royal sister in black military uniform on the side. Compared with General Liang, the royal sister in black military uniform had a sullen face, and she was also a little cold. Report, Commander. Subordinates have no names, codename Black Lotus. Good at special operations, counter-special operations, sharp knife operations, and so on. If General Liang is a hero of the command type and Tanya is a hero of the single soldier type, then this Black Lotus is a hero of the charge type. Is that so? So you want to form your own special unit on your own? Or follow General Liang to serve on this battleship? A little contemplation. For the hero of the Black Lotus situation, Wang Wei also had some clues. Simply give the choice directly to this Black Lotus. Hearing Wang say this, Black Lotus hesitated a little. After all, for that universe battle, Black Lotus is also a little yearning, but for the formation of its own special unit, Black Lotus can't just give up. Tangled. Look at your tangled face, so be it. You temporarily serve as General Liang's adjutant, and you continue to serve on this quantum infinite power space carrier while building your special unit. If your special forces are not formed, if there are any excellent special forces on my side, they will be directly handed over to your commander. While speaking, Wang Wei explained to this Black Lotus with a smile. Yes, Commander. Hearing Wang Wei's order, Black Lotus nodded with joy on his face. Time is fast. The core of the battleship in this town guard was also manufactured. When Wang Wei took out this battleship core like a Rubik's Cube, Wang Wei's whole person couldn't help but sigh. Is there a battleship's soul sealed in it? While thinking, Wang Wei activated the battleship core with the activation device on one side. After all, what I chose is the core of an aircraft carrier-type battleship. No matter how bad it is, it must be a slightly famous existence, right? With the activation of Wang Wei, the core of this battleship emitted a bright color. A 17 or 18-year-old girl wearing a white gauze dress slowly walked out from this brilliance. Episode 101. Excuse me, are you my governor? Glancing at Wang Wei standing in front of him, this silver-haired 17 or 18-year-old girl smiled softly at Wang Wei. The maternal brilliance of that face almost didn't fascinate Wang Wei, a complete lowly. Ma'am? When the girl in a gauze dress in front of him appeared in front of Wang Wei's eyes, Wang Wei's whole person couldn't help but blurt out. This face, this dress, is too similar. It's really too similar. This is clearly the wife. Shipgirl Game, the first aircraft carrier of most civilian players alias Wang Wei, real name Mrs. Ah. If you are like this, can I understand that you are sexually harassing? Slightly stunned, a blush appeared on the wife's face, and she looked at Wang Wei with a smile and said playfully. Sorry, it's just that your image is too deeply rooted in people's hearts and brilliant. Wang Wei, who was slightly embarrassed, directly explained to this brilliance. After all, as soon as you open your mouth, you call someone's wife, and you really can't say it. But it's not annoying. As if in response to Wang Wei's mosquito-like voice emanated slightly. However, what made Wang Wei stomp his foot with some hatred was that Wang Wei directly introduced himself to the two women who followed on one side after apologizing to Wang Wei. General Liang, this is your future partner. Quantum Infinite Power Space Carrier, Radiant. It's also the official battleship name of that space carrier. While saying Wang Wei, he introduced Wang Wei to this General Liang. Hello, Radiant, you can call me Commander. General Liang. Looking at the 17 or 18-year-old girl, although General Liang was a little puzzled, he still stretched out his hand very well. I am the Tejas class aircraft carrier Tejas, first meeting, General Liang. The brilliance who nodded also shook hands with General Liang. Okay, let's go for battleship assimilation first. While speaking, Wang Wei took General Liang and Wang Wei and the others to the control room of the Radiant ship. After Wang Wei placed the core of the battleship in this control room, the entire battleship seemed to have received a new lease of life. A transparent, invisible light wave slowly covered the surface of the battleship. And this quantum infinite power spaceflight is directly connected wirelessly in many places. More importantly, those places that were originally rough or not very reasonable have gradually changed slightly at this moment. However, the effect of this change is not very large. Even said, a little weak. Governor, I'm supposed to be an aircraft carrier, right? Why are there so many cannons on my battleship? When Wang Wei fused with this space carrier, Wang Wei looked at Wang Wei with a strange look and asked suspiciously. After all, if nothing else, 3,000 enamel cannons are really excessive. Not to mention those 10 mutated versions of mushroom eggs. Under such firepower, it would be strange if this brilliance could be happy. I'm an aircraft carrier. Not at all whether battleships are good or not. This one is temporary. You also know that this battleship belongs to the experimental version. The specific effect will be recustomized when we arrive. Now just let you experiment with some data, let this chief engineer tell you about the specific aspects. While speaking, Wang Wei pushed the chief engineer to him. After all, this kind of battleship, whether it is a cannon, an aircraft, a deck, or anything, Wang Wei also has a headache to watch. No one can say exactly what this space battleship looks like. But according to Wang Wei's understanding, it is always inseparable: destroyers, submarines, aircraft carriers, this difference, right? Such a combination of cannons, planes, torpedoes, and mushroom eggs is really a monster-like output. Hee, Miss Radiance, come and tell me about some problems. While speaking, this chief engineer began to chatter with Wang Wei. After all, according to what Wang Wei said, the person who knows this battleship best is not someone else, it is Wang Wei himself. Not even the chief engineer. While frowning and saying some of the problems on his body, Wang Wei disliked the 3,000 enamel giant cannons. Who has ever seen a battleship that constantly releases planes while firing its guns wildly? Good no, not at all. For the nagging between these people, Wang Wei directly said that you guys go play. By the way, Commander, where are we going for actual combat drills? Looking at Wang Wei, who was about to leave, General Liang grabbed Wang Wei. This I want to think. After pondering a little, Wang Wei began to think about this question. After all, if you go to fight with those space pirates and wandering forces now, it should not work. But before he left Asgard, he seemed to feel that Asgard had a feeling of storm coming? Dark elves? Or what? It always feels like there's something to do. If it's a dark elf, vaguely remember, the dark elves have a space battleship? It seems that it is still possible to make interstellar jumps directly? Decided to go to Blue Star first. If you can touch that dark elf space battleship, you will directly beat it. Then get your hands on whether it's something like an interstellar jump, even if it doesn't matter. Just beat the dark elf, then he can be regarded as properly defending Blue Star. It also showed part of his strength in front of those big hooligans. Nanas, when you were still playing with mushroom eggs on the surface, Lao Tzu was already driving a space battleship and soaring through the universe. Let's go to Blue Star first. If you have the opportunity, you will carry out real battles. If you do not have the opportunity, just show off your might in the outer space of Blue Star and then go to these places again. Episode 102. While speaking, Wang Wei took out the wanted directory in his hand and handed it to General Liang. As a result, General Liang, who was in this wanted directory, could only choose to nod his head. By the way, you bring a few more base cars among them, I will be useful then. While saying this, Wang Wei left the Red Police planet directly. As for the role of this base vehicle, Wang Wei just wants to develop a base under the Antarctic or Arctic Ocean. Yes, Commander. General Liang, who nodded, also agreed with the idea. Then Wang Wei left the Red Alert planet directly. Before leaving, Wang Wei also vaguely heard some arguments between Wang Wei and the chief engineer. So you might as well tear down all these enamel cannons for me. Can't you store hundreds, thousands of planes in me like this? And these mushroom eggs, I can't throw them out, what am I keeping them for? Vaguely, Wang Wei quickly ran away before the radiance of some grievances found him. Nanas, it seems that this quantum infinite power space carrier is a waste. It seems that it is time to return to destroyers, submarines, aircraft carriers, and other warships. Wang Wei, whose thoughts were in turmoil, returned directly to this villa. Mr. Tony said something was looking for you. Just came back. Icarus, who was holding a large watermelon on the sofa in this living room, suddenly said seriously to Wang Wei. Looking for me? What is he looking for me for? Wang Wei, who looked confused, felt as if he couldn't rest. Is this idle egg hurting? Lao Tzu has not had time to carry out so many research projects. In this cosmic battle, the biochemical system always feels that its status is a little weaker. And Wang Wei is thinking about how to increase the strength of the tyrant and the nemesis. Not to mention the amount of magical knowledge that Wang Wei had acquired. To put it mildly, since Wang Wei possessed this magical knowledge, he had no time to use it. I don't have any free time. I know. Wang Wei, who nodded slightly, walked directly towards his old neighbor, Tony. And holding a watermelon, wearing a small cute costume, Icarus, who was wearing a coat, stepped on slippers at his feet, and held a large watermelon in his hand and followed. What? I'm Chow, what are you doing? Looking at Wang Wei, who originally wanted to ask Tony what was going on, he looked at the blue nose and swollen face of Tony, as if he had been beaten violently. I was suddenly a little dazed. You're looking for the Hulk to get beaten up, right? How do you get it like this? I'm okay here, I have something I want. Looking for you. Tony, who looked a little lost, had just recovered from the trauma of the attack and killing of the desperate organization. For Tony, there aren't many people who can make him care. Wang Wei counts one, and Pepper counts one. But now Pepper has a problem. Remember when Pepper was injected with the desperate virus by the desperate organization in order to save Tony? Although this desperate organization was destroyed by Sumu and Tony's hundreds of steel suits on that day. However, the desperate virus injected by the desperate tissue on Pepper was not dissolved. Or rather, Tony didn't know how to lift it. And because the person who was injected with the desperate virus was none other than the CEO of Stark Group, Pepper, it's also Tony's good friend. Sumu and the others did not dare to tell Tony to help him dissolve this desperate virus. After all, if this is an unimportant chess piece, Sumu dares to bring it back to the Umbrella Mansion and hand it over to those engineers in terms of biology and viruses. Let them do things, but this is Pepper. They don't dare either. What's going on? You said? Shield pinned you to the ground and rubbed you? Don't worry, I'll tear down the shield building. While speaking, Wang Wei rolled up his sleeves and prepared to directly lead someone to tear down the building of shield. Seeing Wang Wei like this, Tony quickly stopped him. No, don't panic. While saying that, Tony also blocked Wang Wei's impulsive behavior. If nothing else, Tony dares to guarantee that this Wang Wei really has the idea of dismantling shield. Since the last time Wang Wei showed his strength, shield is like a mouse that has met a cat. Basically, I don't come to the Umbrella Group anymore. Even if there are some things, they are left to Black Widow Natasha, Hawkeye Patton, and Steven and others to solve it. Although this Avenger still exists, Wang Wei and Tony are still in this reunion. Wang Wei also directly became the captain of this Avengers. But Tony still faintly felt a kind of alienation. As for Wang Wei, did he feel it? People are busy like a hammer. Avengers didn't come to find something for themselves, and Wang Wei was very thankful. Wang Wei, who was estranged or something, didn't notice it at all. So what are you talking about? While speaking, Wang Wei listened to this Tony like a melon-eating audience. In a short moment, Tony also told me about his previous affairs, as well as some of the things he had recently experienced, plus the loss of his Iron Legion, and the problem that Pepper was injected with the desperate virus. That is to say, your little Pepper was injected with the desperate virus, although during the battle you fought a few days ago, the little Pepper resisted the backlash of this desperate virus, but you can't confirm whether this little Pepper can really control the desperate virus? So you're going to let me help you strip this desperate virus? That's what it means, right? After chattering for a while, Wang Wei directly said what Tony wanted to say. That's what it means. So. While speaking, Tony, who was a little arrogant and difficult to ask for people, directly put his eyes on Wang Wei's body for help. Episode 103. After all, this kind of thing is really only Wang Wei can solve. Okay, this is easy to do, but take it. What to take? Some research materials of the desperate organization, as well as related experimental subject data. If you don't give me this, how can I analyze the desperate virus with you, and then peel off your little Pepper? Weren't these things taken away by your minister Sumu? Don't you know? I know a hammer. I've been busy lately. While saying that, Wang Wei directly opened communication with Sumu in this Tony's house. Sumu, you guys did things with Tony before, where are those desperate viruses? In front of Tony, Wang Wei asked with such a big prick. Sir, those materials are all in the research room of the Umbrella building, and several engineers have already begun to study the virus. But engineers say the desperate virus is not ideal. It is very straightforward to understand the significance of Wang Wei's move. Sumu directly said all the things that the people of the Umbrella had studied one after another. Got it, I'll go over when I get back. Let them prepare everything. Nodded, Wang Wei directly hung up the phone. Good news, bad news, where are you going to listen? With a playful smile in his eyes, Wang Wei looked directly at Tony and said a little meanly. Don't be good news, bad news, hurry up and tell me. Tony, who was slightly raised, really didn't know what to say. How can this good friend go farther and farther on this lowly road? A person who was quite serious when I first met, how come to now, is the same as a joyful joke. The good news is that someone in my department is already working on it. When I get back, I'll take it directly. The bad news is that this desperate virus is a pit. The results of the study were far from ideal. I really can't figure out what this desperate virus can do besides being a human bomb. Enhance human capabilities? Or enhance the ability to restore immunity? Wang Wei, who was a little speechless, directly told Tony the problem of this desperate virus. That little Pepper. Tony was a little anxious when he got here. As a professor and expert in biology, if Wang Wei says bad about the desperate virus, it is really not good. Tony, who was a little worried about Pepper, was directly anxious. This is not okay. If something happens to Pepper, that's completely sad. Rest assured, the problem should not be too big. It's just a little bit of a hassle. While thinking, Wang Wei explained to Tony. Removing the desperate virus from a person's body is a bit difficult. But for Wang Wei, the problem is big. Well, that's bothering you. Compare shield, and beyond your own knowledge, Tony trusts Wang Wei's strength even more. Okay, I'll go back to research and study this desperate virus first. I will tell you the result as soon as possible, then come to me with Pepper. While speaking, Wang Wei waved his hand and left Tony's villa directly. Wang Wei, who left here, went directly to the Umbrella Mansion accompanied by Alice and others. After all, this desperate virus, said to be studied, then it must be studied. Thor, there is a rebellion in the dungeon. At this time, in the royal capital of Asgard, a message came directly to Thor's ears. Rebellion? Sol, who heard the news, was a little confused on the spot. Why, there hasn't been a rebellion in this dungeon for many years, how their own, as soon as Daddy fell asleep, he fell into rebellion? Although he had some doubts, Thor directly carried the Mjolnir in his hand and rushed directly to the dungeon to suppress the rebellion. However, some differences are that at this time, Thor's girlfriend is also in this royal capital. The queen is relieving the nervous little mood of this sole girlfriend. After all, inexplicably entered an unknown world, and was inexplicably chased and killed by a group of people, and finally fled to his boyfriend. It's impossible to say, it's impossible not to be nervous. General Liang, according to the voyage, we will reach the sky above Blue Star in a day. At this moment, General Ling Liang, who was driving this experimental product-like quantum infinite power space carrier, couldn't help but nod slightly when he heard the report from the people below. After the defense with these engineers, Radiance is unwilling to die, and let this freak-like battleship become the body of his own battleship. However, after some communication, the engineers promised Wang Wei and turned back to rebuild a special space carrier for Wang Wei's mother. As for now, I'll use it first. Let's get some actual combat data first. Under the reluctance of Wang Wei, the quantum infinite power space carrier flew directly away from the red alert planet, and slowly flew towards the direction of this Earth. Anyway, according to his commander's orders, as long as he reaches the top of the blue star sky in the near future. As for when it will arrive, Wang Wei did not say. Because of this, General Ling Liang also allowed these engineers to toss all kinds of tosses. However, although it is to go to the blue star to show off its might, this General Ling Liang still brought enough combat readiness forces. Time is fast, and for Wang Wei before, this desperate virus may be very troublesome. But with several repositories of knowledge, a technology tree, and a broken void engine, Wang Wei can also be regarded as understanding the gameplay of this desperate virus. But knowing is one thing. Watch the final analysis of this desperate virus. Wang Wei could only run aground the manufacturing experiment of this desperate virus with a toothache. This thing is like a rootless ping _. Episode 104. Although it can bring a certain degree of increase to the human body, but the actual effect, in fact, is similar to the self-detonation person. Say useful, in fact, there is nothing to mess with. Tony, bring Pepper here at the Umbrella Mansion. In the evening, Wang Wei threw a call directly to Tony. Tony, who received Wang Wei's call, didn't say a word, and directly came to this umbrella building with the little Pepper that can currently suppress this desperate virus. Mary Jane, who greeted Tony at the door of this umbrella building, directly took these two people directly to Wang Wei's research laboratory. Wang Wei, you solved it so quickly? Tony, who was surprised, came directly to Wang Wei and asked. After all, this time is probably too fast. From after he told Wang Wei these things, until the matter was resolved, not much time has passed at all. Is it hard? With a look at his eyelids, Wang Wei directly looked at Tony with contempt. Is this kind of thing hard? Perhaps in the hands of Wang Wei before, it was difficult to strip off the desperate virus, but for the current Wang Wei, there is basically no big difficulty. The void engine, no matter how incomplete it is also a void engine. A product of black technology, how can you use mortal intelligence to look at the void engine? Tony, who was choked by Wang Wei, really didn't know whether he should push it back. Is it hard? It's hard, dude. If only it wasn't difficult. Am I looking for you? Tony, who was constantly complaining in his heart, directly ignored Wang Wei's contempt. Thank you, Wang Wei. Your own physical condition, likewise, Pepper knows that Tony cares about herself. Miss Pepper even thanked Wang Wei for the smile on her face. Although the peeling has not yet begun, just as Tony believes in Wang Wei, Pepper also believes in Tony very much. Okay, you two, lie on it first. While speaking, Wang Wei tinkered with some equipment while fiddling. After all, even if you want to peel off, it is good to expose a little less power, and expose a little less power. In case he is exposed to too much power, this Tony will not play with himself, then there is no need to cry. Looking at Tony beside him, he was dressed in simple casual clothes, and lay directly on this test bench. And Wang Wei didn't have much nonsense, and directly inserted several tubes into little Pepper's body. With Wang Wei's work on this device, Wang Wei stood directly in front of the little Pepper and suspended his hands above the little Pepper. A white mist began to emerge directly between the hands. In a short moment, this white mist directly surrounded the little Pepper. Tony, who was watching from the side, couldn't see what was the situation of the little pepper in this mist. But although I can't see the situation of the pepper inside. But it was suspended in a dropper connected to one of the needles, and drop by drop of green liquid began to slowly flow out of these needles. See the liquid inside this dropper. Tony's inner tense expression began to slowly breathe a sigh of relief. Although at the beginning, Wang Wei said that it could be solved. But after seeing that this could solve the situation, Tony couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Time is fast. About half an hour later, the dropper was not dripping with some green liquid. Wang Wei directly stopped the movement of his hand. As Wang Wei's movement stopped, the white mist that wrapped the little pepper directly dissipated without a trace. See the pepper sleeping on the test bench. Tony's whole person was a little eager to say, and stopped. Peace of mind. Your little pepper is now in a deep sleep. After all, stripping off these desperate viruses is also a big burden for little pepper. But rest assured, although these desperate viruses have been stripped away, but I didn't cut some of the abilities that were active in her body cells before. In other words, your little pepper may be a little more energetic than before. After thinking about it for a while, Wang Wei put away the desperate virus that had been stripped out directly, and said with a smile to Tony. Thank you. Seeing Wang Wei like this, Tony didn't come to thank him. After all, this kind of thing, how to say it, all depends on Wang Wei to be able to do it. You're welcome. While speaking, Wang Wei walked towards his office. As for this sleeping little pepper, it was handed over to the secretaries who rushed over to deal with it. By the way, Wang Wei, I don't know if you are interested in this plan. As he spoke, Tony took out a proposal in his hand. This plan was given to Steven before Nick Fury disappeared, and Steven gave it to Tony very decisively after seeing this plan. After all, those who can complete this plan must not be able to complete this plan except for Tony, Wang Wei, and Dr. Banner. Proposal? What plan? Wang Wei, who was a little puzzled, directly put down the teacup in his hand, took the plan and slowly looked at it. But after watching for a while, Wang Wei had a general idea in his heart. Are you going to build a super smart terminal AI? While putting down this peacekeeping plan in his hand to Wang Wei, he looked at Tony in front of him with a strange face. Super intelligent terminal AI, to put it nicely, it's the name. If you can't get it right, it's a Skynet system. In this plan, the most important point of the implementation of the plan is to create a super intelligent terminal AI _ Episode 105. This super intelligent terminal AI is responsible for networking and wiring many robots like worker ants. And make these robots serve the public good of humans. Not only that, these robots also have certain combat capabilities, and when necessary, they can maintain local security and reduce some panic incidents. Yes, in fact, the introduction to this plan is still because of the stars. At the beginning, when Steven handed me this plan, I was a little hesitant. After all, relying on my ability alone, I can't build such a thing. However, after thinking about your stars, I have some ideas. Maybe we can really create a set of super intelligent AI that maintains social order and focuses on public welfare services. Thinking of this, Tony's whole blood boiled a little. After all, these things, once successful, will trigger another industrial revolution in human history. Think about it, when enough robots come out, with the help of super smart terminals, can those expensive human resources be discarded? Can dangerous projects be left to these robots? What's more, when these standard enforcement laws and regulations guys walk on the streets, will they form a good control over social security? You looking at Wang Wei, who was attracted by this matter, he couldn't help but raise his forehead. This Tony hasn't been so excited before. While thinking of this, Wang Wei began to explain to Tony, have you ever thought about what if this super intelligent AI? Are we creating something too big, triggering a runaway time? Of course, the emergence of these robots will liberate the vast majority of the workforce, but have you ever wondered what comes with the situation after the liberation of labor? Jobless rate, generally high unemployment. While speaking, Wang Wei explained to Tony the harm of this matter. This super intelligent AI Wang Wei doesn't really want to build. Other Wang Wei didn't know, but the name of the Terminator, Wang Wei was still somewhat impressed. After all, the plot of the Terminator film is to go further and further on the road of rebelling against super intelligent AI. In the end, it can be said that no matter which future time and space, Skynet is the primary task of destroying all mankind. You know, Wang Wei, every historical change will bring certain turmoil. And when the turmoil passes, prosperity is blazing. As for what you said about super intelligent AI out of control, ask it shouldn't be too big for you, me, Dr. Banner, and the top researchers under you to work together. After a moment of silence, Tony was enough to dispel the idea of a peacekeeping plan. After all, this sense of accomplishment is really too great, so big that Tony was a little dumbfounded. Okay. It's all dragged by you, what can I do? With his hands spread, Wang Wei directly threw this peacekeeping plan directly on the table. The two rolled their eyes, like a dead salted fish. Love is dripping. Just be happy anyway. See Wang Wei like this, Tony couldn't help but laugh. Tony knew that Wang Wei was a little reluctant to participate, but the end result will still be involved in this project. Tell me, where is the experiment here? Where are the funds? Don't think about asking my umbrella group to pay for it, can't do it. Rolling his eyelids, Wang Wei directly turned his head to Tony and asked. After all, these things, Wang Wei does it, but he won't do it in vain. More importantly, isn't he fragrant in the Terminator series? It's very fragrant. Because of this, Wang Wei felt the need to conduct a wave of experimentation. After all, large, super-intelligent AI can easily go to extremes. This is also why Wang Wei has not given the stars an expanded authority. Why not ride on that quantum infinite power space carrier on a super awesome star? Because you can't control it. That's why Wang Wei directly decided to talk about the matter. First, use these dead shield people to get first-hand data. If it is feasible, with the production on the Red Alert planet, Lao Tzu will produce thousands of Terminators for you in minutes. Anyway, the cost performance of these things is relatively not very high. Allocate money from above, give permissions. Not only that, but see this? We first used this city as a test site for our research. As he spoke, Tony unfolded the map and said. This city is not very far from the city of the altar, it is only 100 kilometers away. But compared to the city of the altar, this city is like a small township in the countryside. Shame on you. Poof, is this the plan to boost the city's economy? A glance at the introduction of the city Wang Wei was really a little speechless. But think about it, the problems they are worried about, presumably those guys are also worried. But it's not important, first-hand experimental data is the most important. Okay, I agree to this matter. While shaking his head slightly, Wang Wei directly finalized the button to agree to this matter. Seeing Wang Wei nodding in agreement, a smile could not help but appear on Tony's entire old face. So, this time, let's work together to come up with an epic-making change. Wang Wei. While speaking, Tony stretched out his big hand to Wang Wei. After all, in this case, only by cooperating with Wang Wei can there be this real possibility of success. If you do it alone, you will have 3% hope. As long as Wang Wei joins, it will be stable. Exactly. Chi lived. I hope it won't become the biggest disaster in human history. Wang Wei, who was complaining, stretched out one of his big hands.